Welcome all to this the connection on the Good Morning Grenada program for today. Today is Friday. It is the 22nd day of September in the year 2023, of course. Gordon Joseph, the innocent one in your company, saying good morning to you, Mary E. Bang. She is first on the Facebook Live page for today. Good morning, Mary. I hope you had a wonderful day. It's a bit behind our schedule, so let's get with the program instantaneously. All right, the word of the day today, it is a verb. It is the word mesmerize, M-E-S-M-E-R-I-Z-E or Z-E, some folks say Z, M-E-S-M-E-R-I-Z-E, mesmerize. It is an action word, and what it means is to hold the attention of someone entirely, to interest or amaze someone so much that nothing else is seen or noticed. The word is often used in the phrase be mesmerized. All right, so the word for the day, mesmerize, and here's how we can use that word. The crowd was mesmerized by the flawlessly synchronous movements of the acrobats. Yeah, learn to spell it, learn to pronounce it, write it down, acquaint yourself with it, and learn to use it in your speech or in your writing. Good morning, Nadisha. Good morning. How are you this morning? How are you? Hope you're doing fine. You and the entire home circle. The folks inside of Cafe and surrounding areas. Good morning. The thought of the day today. The best things in life are the people we love, the places we've been, and the memories we've made along the way. Yep. The best things in life are the people we love, the places we've been, and the memories we've made along the way. Leave good memories behind. I mean, they might not always be perfect because not very often things go as planned. You know, there's always something that, contaminates and derails you from that plan that you've got. Because if everything goes as planned, everybody would have been a millionaire. Everybody would have been, beautiful. Well, everyone is beautiful in their own way, but, in terms of the physique and so forth, but things don't always go as planned. Hence the reason why it's so important to have a plan B. Yeah, and also take into consideration there are folks out there whose purpose in life seems to be bent on just derailing you, and gotta look away from that. Nonetheless, folks, I just want to remind you that the GBN's Gospel Challenge, the Mogo edition, is up. It's on the 4th of November, right? The auditions for it is tomorrow and Sunday. Yeah, that's Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th of September, right here at GBN Television Studio on Observatory Road in St. George's. All right, it runs from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on both days. All right, please note that original music must be sung at the final, which is on Saturday the 4th of November. Yep. All right, this morning again we have the final part to the education conversation. As I said, I think it's a program that we have to find a way to keep alive. So we'll look at getting some sponsorship from some corporate citizens, and so that we can run that program. It has been a very meaningful program to quite a lot of people. They've called, but initially the plan was for 4 weeks, but we've extended to a 5th week because this morning we will be looking at health and family life education, and Mr. Matthias and another colleague will be here with us this morning, so that will take up the conversation this morning, as always on a Friday, but we look forward to a continuation of this. Buzzing this morning, of course, again we congratulate the national women's football team for their success against the Bahamas. 6 goals to 1. We can't forget that. That's good news. And did you know that today is actually 68 years since Hurricane Ivan ravaged Grenada? Yeah, 68 years. Well, those of you who were around that time, I think when Ivan passed, I must have been about 30 years old, right? Yeah, at 68, I don't think my father met my mom as yet, yeah. So, but those of you who were around, you would remember what Ivan did, how it came about, and so forth. Yeah, 68 years of Ivan. Not Ivan, but Janet, Hurricane Janet. All right, it's not Ivan, but Janet, Hurricane Janet. Right, yeah. So that's basically it for the morning. Yep. I hope that you have a good day. And it's just about that time when we've got to take that break, because we've got to do the AM edition of News, Sports, and the Weather. And those of you on the television platform, we've got a rebroadcast of last evening's television news. Want to say good morning to my good friend, my partner at the container in the River Road. Yeah, I hope you have a nice soup today. I'm feeling, as the younger folks would say, I feel soupish. A good beef soup beef soup is for Saturdays. All right, good morning to you and your team. My good friend from Rosehill, McDonald College again. I can't remember her name, but I hope all is fine. So, folks, we've got to take that break. We've got the AM edition of News, Sports, and the Weather forthcoming. Stick and stay with us. We're with you anywhere and everywhere.
When you need someone to help you to your feet, I'll be that beacon to your highest peak. Oh, I'll be right next to you, no, I will never leave. Come on, take my hands, we got everything we need. Cause you can look to me whenever you're in need. Just call on me and I'll be on my way. I'll be by your side, never to divide. The light that shines our way. Wherever you run me, we'll make your dreams come true. Next time, thanks to you.
Nexa Credit Union, with you wherever your road leads.
Good evening, I'm Kenroy Batiste. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Andel are scheduled to address the United Nations General Assembly and deliver remarks at the ministerial meeting of the Summit of the Future, respectively. More in this report.
Grenada's Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Andel has delivered remarks at the ministerial meeting of the Summit of the Future earlier today. Minister Andel is presently attending the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, which opened on Monday. On the margins of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, Grenada's Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Andel and his counterpart, Mr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Al Zayani, Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Bahrain, signed a formal exchange of communique, strengthening the friendship and cooperation between the two countries in the areas of political, economic, trade, cultural, and other fields of mutual interests. The two sides placed strong emphasis on critical areas that can broaden the relationship between the two nations and welcomed the unwavering commitment of both sides to coordinate efforts to ensure bilateral relations are strengthened. The agreement was signed on Tuesday, September 19, 2023. According to the UN website, the Summit of the Future is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to enhance cooperation on critical challenges and address gaps in global governance, reaffirm existing commitments such as Sustainable Development Goals and the UN Charter, and move towards a reinvigorated multilateral system that is better positioned to positively impact people's lives. Building on the 2023 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG Summit, members of the UN attending the summit will consider ways to lay the foundation for more effective global cooperation that can deal with today's challenges as well as new threats in the future. The Summit of the Future will complement the Sustainable Development Goals Summit, or the high-level political forum on sustainable development convened under the auspices of the General Assembly. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, he left the state today and will join Minister Andal at the UN. The two will be attending the Alliance of Small Island States, the AOSIS leaders meeting on Friday, 22nd September. This meeting, taking place on the fringe of the General Assembly, is described as an auspicious opportunity for leaders of small island developing states, SEEDs, to crystallize their positions in the AOSIS Leaders Declaration. The Prime Minister is also on schedule to address the General Assembly on Friday. The United Nations General Assembly is one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations, serving its main policy-making and representative organ. The Assembly makes recommendations to states on international issues within its competence. It has also taken action across all pillars of the United Nations, including political, economic, humanitarian, social, and legal matters. Christelina John, GBN News.
Now, a $125 million investment to be implemented by the National Water and Sewage Authority with assistance from GIZ will mark a significant investment aimed at mitigating the authority's most pressing weakness, water storage. Renaped Thomas has more in this report.
The installation of new pipes and the construction of new 500,000-gallon water tanks will mark a significant difference in NAWASA's delivery of service to Grenada. The initiative is part of NAWASA's broad approach to mitigating 2 critical climate risk and vulnerability on the island, namely fresh water availability and disaster preparedness. Construction is set to commence shortly on the longest pipeline run on the island, which will see the replacement of over 12,000 meters of pipeline beginning at NAWASA's Merbo water treatment plant and extending to Tivoli. The 3-phase project will also involve new 500,000-gallon storage tank at the Merbo St. Andrew plant, Peggy's Wim in St. Patrick, and Tufton Hall in St. Mark. The venture commenced with a sod turning ceremony at the Merbo propagation station on Tuesday. NAWASA's chair, Philip Alexander, outlined the challenges faced by the water company.
The challenges that climate change has presented to small island developing states like Grenada, with escalating temperatures and low rainfall, makes this partnership not only timely but relevant. NAWASA welcomes the opportunity to implement climate resilient projects throughout the Tri-Island state by comprehensively addressing freshwater availability as well as our preparedness for disaster and extreme weather events.
This phase of the G-Cruise project is a $125 million investment and is funded by GIZ, the Government of Grenada, and the Green Climate Fund. Kenny's Trucking Limited was selected as the designated contractor for this major investment. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell's keynote presentation underscored the core objective of the G-Cruise project, which is to enhance Grenada's resilience to climate change impact in the water sector.
It therefore means that appropriate governance and regulatory framework must be established to ensure that we strengthen our water management systems. This Green Climate Funded project presents therefore a brilliant opportunity for us to comprehensively mainstream and implement climate resilience practices throughout Grenada's entire national water system. The project's holistic approach addresses 2 main climate risks and vulnerabilities: freshwater availability and disaster preparedness. The project has already begun to become a model for addressing those two issues for other Caribbean islands.
Outgoing General Manager of NAWASA, Christopher Husband, outlined the third area of the project, which will see work on the sister isles.
The area in this phase will involve the installation of approximately 4,000 meters of pipelines and the installation of another 500,000 gallon storage tank in the Mont Rouge area. And this will particularly improve the supply areas like Guankai, the Bronx, and other areas in housing scheme and frequency. By mid-2024, I would expect work to begin on the Group 2 sites, which will provide replacements in many other parishes and districts throughout the island, and a further 8 storage reservoirs, of which 3, slightly smaller, are going to be in Carriacou.
The event also included a special recognition for Mr. Husband's making his final official appearance as General Manager. Husband will commence his early pre-retirement leave on September 29, 2023, after 33 years at NAWASA. For GBN News, I am Rena Pett Thomas reporting.
Other news, a Grenadian film will be in the spotlight at the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival this year. It is among several chosen by the judges of the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival Committee to be screened during the festival, which runs from September 20 to 28.
The 15-minute film entitled Forget Me Not was written by Grenadian filmmaker and writer Amanda John and produced by Brainstorm Media Solutions last year. The film spotlights dementia in senior citizens, featuring an all-Grenadian cast and crew. It is among over 100 films chosen for screening during the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival this year, out of over 200 submissions from across the region and the world. Amanda John is the executive producer at Brainstorm Media Solutions.
Forget Me Not is a short film that touches loosely on the topic of dementia, and it's an all-Grenadian cast and crew featuring the accomplished Robert White and the talented Rose Bagwan. And we're so happy because it's a first for a Grenadian film to be screened at Trinidad Film Festival. So that's why we're making an extra effort to go down and represent and network and just see what this opportunity would bring for us.
John, who left the island for the film festival earlier today, is excited to share this achievement with the public.
And the film will be screened on 2 days. So first premiere, and this is a Trinidad and Tobago and a Caribbean premiere at Movie Town on Saturday the 23rd, and then again on Tuesday the 26th.
The Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival takes place annually in Trinidad and Tobago in the latter half of September and runs for approximately 2 weeks. The festival screens feature-length, narrative and documentary films, as well as short and experimental films. For GBN News, I'm Nisha Paul.
Parents who refuse to send their children to school can be charged and/or sent to prison. This reminder comes from education officials who in recent times had to enforce the laws to ensure children were not denied their right to education. The rest of the details in this report.
truancy, which essentially is the action of staying away from school without good reason, is one of the many factors that can lead to delinquency. School attendance officer with the Ministry of Education, Ernest Richards, told GBN To The Point today that truancy continues to be an issue the ministry is faced with, and parents' refusal to send their children to school is an issue his office has had to address.
In our situation, we have some delinquent parents too that keep their children from school. They might take them to go to the garden. They might take them to go and do some kind of chores when they should really be in school. And you have some children, the parents send them to school. They do not show up to school. And there are still some other children that they go to school because their parents send them to school, but they only reach in school and they do not reach inside of the classroom. So you have truancy on the compound of the school.
The attendance officer further noted that there are parents in Grenada who were brought to court for intentionally refusing to send their children to school. At least 5 parents are currently before the court for truancy.
You know, the parents would have to comply. I took parent to court already and they did comply, and as present I have about five parents from the St. David's area that is presently in the matter is processing.
All right.
And I'm asking, showing that his prosecution department would come in, you know, very handy if they can expedite the process.
In visiting the various schools on the island, Richards stated that his department identifies students who rarely attend schools or class through registers or by complaints by community members. This will result to in-home visit to identify the reason, following which they will proceed to help solve the issues, whether financially or others.
We do not just take parent to court like that. We ensure that all the steps are taken.
Okay.
I go with showing. We give them warning so that, you know, they would keep track and understand that this thing is serious. I will let them know the consequences of the action, and it proceeds. We get uniform for the children. We get breakfast program. So only thing you have to do as a parent in those cases is to bathe your children and get them ready for school.
Parents who refuse to send their children to school can face a fine of $1,000 or 3 months in prison, or both. For GBN News, I am Rena Pet Thomas reporting.
The story before the break, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has taken a decision to nolle prosequi a non-capital murder charge brought against 23-year-old Belmont St. George resident Stephen Buckmeyer in October 2022. The matter is scheduled to come up before High Court Judge Madam Justice Paula Guilford at the St. George's No. 1 High Court on Monday. More in this Nisha Paul report.
Nolle prosequi is a legal notice or entry of record that the prosecutor or complainant has decided to abandon the prosecution or lawsuit. Stephen Buckmeyer, a 23-year-old boat maintenance worker, was arrested and jointly charged along with his 35-year-old uncle, Jude Buckmeyer, a construction worker by profession, with the offense of non-capital murder in October 2022. The charges stem from the death of 31-year-old Darren Coutain, who died as a result of blunt trauma to his head and rib area during an alleged incident at his home in Belmont St. George on September 30th, 2022. Coutain reportedly succumbed to his injuries at the St. George's General Hospital some days after the incident. Both Stephen and his uncle are being represented in the matter by attorney Jerry Edwin.
Our hope going forward is to further convince the prosecution that Jude Buckmeyer had no intent whatsoever to cause any dangerous bodily injury to the deceased. And of course, that's the prerequisite for the charge of non-capital murder or manslaughter. Our hope is that the prosecutor will agree with us and reduce the charge of non-capital murder to manslaughter in the case of Jude Buckmeyer.
Attorney Edwin is optimistic that the prosecution will also agree to reduce the non-capital murder charge against Jude to the lesser offense of manslaughter. He also spoke of plans to approach the prosecution ahead of Buckmeyer's trial to look at certain facts concerning the case.
Stephen was at the scene of the altercation and was charged. But after we looked at the evidence, we conferenced with the director of public prosecutor, his senior Crown Counsel, Mr. Pinnock, and Mr. Pinnock is a very reasonable prosecutor. He agreed with us after looking at the evidence and some of the things we pointed out that Stephen should not be prosecuted and the charges against him will not proceed.
The Buckmeyer case is one of 15 non-capital murder cases up for adjudication in the September assizes before High Court Judge Madame Justice Paula Guilford, who is the only sitting criminal judge on the island. For GBN News, I'm Nisha Paul.
Public Bank has announced the completion of construction of additional facilities at Hillview Home. More in this report.
The Hillview Home for the Aged, located in Guave St. John, is now equipped with a newly constructed outdoor dining recreational area to serve its elderly residents. This comes as a result of a promise made and kept by Republic Bank Grenada Limited in December 2022. Hillview Home was one of the first beneficiaries of the bank's Power to Make Difference program, which funded a wing containing 6 additional bedrooms to help address the issue of overcrowding at the home. Commenting on the initiative, Ms. Mavis McBurney, Acting General Manager of Operations at Republic Bank, said, and I quote, "Projects like this are made possible under the bank's Power to Make a Difference program, and I am quite confident that the creation of this multifunctional space is making a positive difference in the lives of our senior citizens who deserve no less." Through a press release, the bank states that each floor has been outfitted with 160 square foot of additional space to help with the spacing constraints experienced at the home and to afford both male and female residents the opportunity to relax while having their meals outdoors. Chair of the Hillview Board of Management, Mr. Carlisle Glean Jr., in his remarks commented, and I quote, "Our collaboration with Republic Bank over the past 2 decades have been invaluable. Not many in the corporate world maintain this level of relationship with institutions like ours, and we look forward to continued collaboration with the bank for many more years." Republic Bank said it is pleased to contribute to initiatives that meaningfully impact the lives of our elderly. For GBN News, I am Rena P. Thomas reporting.
When someone expresses his or her intent to take his or her life, it is important not to take it for granted. It's the report.
Suicide is a serious public health problem and can affect people of all ages. Local statistics show an average of 6 people committed suicide in Grenada so far for 2023. Suicide can be described as the act of taking one's life. Attempted suicide or non-fatal suicide behavior amounts to self-injury with at least one desire to end one's life that does not result in death. Kizzy Matthew Clarence, clinical therapist and head of the Psychosocial Support Unit in the Ministry of Social and Community Development and Gender Affairs, said anyone can contemplate suicide. However, there are warning signs that can alert family members or friends who can provide timely intervention.
Of those include disturbed sleep pattern. So that person might be sleeping too much or have problems sleeping. They may be experiencing a change in the appetite, maybe where they're eating too much, not eating at all, or just eating very little. There might be anxiety, some form of agitation. That person might be feeling hopeless. So sometimes they may express the thoughts of wanting to kill themselves or wanting to die or wanting to disappear.
Many factors can spark suicidal thoughts apart from mental health challenges. According to the clinical therapist, when it comes to suicide prevention, it is multi-sectoral. Here's what you as an individual can do to help.
You as a person have to be supportive. Supportive in the sense that you're not encouraging them to die by suicide, but at the same time you're able to be empathic, you're able to be non-judgmental, listen to them, find out what's happening, because so many of us are going through a lot of pain, a lot of stresses, and some people might be suffering in silence. And you at that point might might be that only person that individual reaches out to. But we also want to encourage those who are thinking of attempting, or those who have attempted, to let them know there's hope and they can still live successful lives, that they can still thrive.
According to Matthew Clarence, the Ministry of Health is in the process of formulating strategies that will support individuals.
So presently, the Ministry of Health is leading a strategy to devise a plan. It's the National Suicide Prevention Strategy, to see how we can tackle the issue, the public health issue, and how we can put plans in place on a multi-sectoral level so that we ensure that persons are able to receive the help, not just for persons who are contemplating suicide, but mental health. There has also been some efforts to increase resources from the Ministry of Social Development to provide more specialized care in terms of psychosocial support.
Persons can also reach out to the Ministry of Social Development for support in the interim by contacting 440-2269 or Legal Aid and Counseling Clinic on 440-3885. Christelina John, GBN News.
There's an old adage, your health is your wealth. This could not be a more accurate statement, as the number of people diagnosed and living with sexually transmitted illnesses continues to rise. Human T lymphotropic virus, HTLV, is one such illness.
There is an old adage that goes, your health is your wealth. This could not be a more accurate statement, as the number of persons diagnosed and living with sexually transmitted illness continues to rise. Human T lymphotropic virus 1, HTLV, is one such illness. HTLV1 is a retrovirus that infects humans for the rest of their lives. It spreads similarly to the HIV virus through breastfeeding, sexual contact, and blood transfusions. To discover more about the disease, we met with Dr. Francis Martin, a medical and health practitioner, who explained HTLV in greater detail.
The virus is very asymptomatic to a large extent, so many people actually don't know that they have the virus. In fact, HTLV is actually more common than HIV on the island right now. But ordinarily, people don't know, except they have certain specific diseases that we know can cause HTLV. But because of this, now all pregnant women, as part of the normal routine checkup in pregnancy, they all do get an HTLV test, and that's how we know the prevalence of HTLV on the island. The common diseases that it causes is one that is called a special type of lymphoma called a T-cell lymphoma. That's a special kind of cancer that can be caused by HTLV. There are certain throat cancers that can be caused by HTLV as well.
HTLV1 was the first oncogenic human retrovirus to be discovered. It was first studied in 1977. The virus can cause adult T-cell leukemia.
Also, we have known, especially in the northern part of the Caribbean, I think Jamaica was one of the areas that found it out early, it can cause a kind of paralysis called a tropical spastic paralysis, where you lose the ability to use your hands and feet, and you get all cramped up and spastic, as they call it, and that's a kind of a neurological disorder that can happen because of HTLV. Outside of that, there are other little things that it can cause. For example, we're aware that some type of respiratory issues can be caused from it as well. But the significance of that is because there is no treatment really for HTLV, and so all we can do is to try and decrease the transmission of it as much as possible.
Dr. Martin provided the following response when asked how the virus is spread.
Transmission, you wouldn't even know you have, transmitted with HTLV, because by and large it goes asymptomatic or undetected in your life almost for the entire life that you have. And so that's one reason why doctors would allow or advise pregnant women who are positive with HTLV avoid breastfeeding, because that's one of the ways of preventing the transmission of the virus to the young ones.
Dr. Martin encouraged anyone who might have tested positive for the virus to follow this advice because observational studies addressing particularly HTLV-1 preventions are lacking.
Protecting yourself from HTLV is very similar to protecting yourself from any sexually transmitted infections. It means limiting your sex partners, have judicial sex activity, wearing a condom properly. Those are the kind of things. Avoid sharing body fluids as much as possible. Similar to all STIs, that's how you prevent yourself. Preventing progression of the disease is a bit more tricky because people don't go to doctor asking to be checked for HTLV. So first of all, people have to have a level of suspicion if they want to know if they have HTLV. And if you have HTLV, it doesn't mean that there is any specific things you can use to prevent yourself from progressing. It just means that you have to take better care of yourself. So you eat better, you eat more antioxidants to prevent the formation of cancer cells. Check for the major cancers that HTLV can cause, and once you do those early checks, this is the best thing. But it's very difficult to stop the progression except that you just practice good eating habits and keep yourself healthy.
Dr. Martin gave young people this advice.
Continue to broaden your knowledge about the risk factors that are out there. A few years ago, we started broadening our knowledge about STI to include HPV, to the extent that now we have widespread vaccines for HPV. So why continue to widen that education and include HTLV as part of that education process? So when you go to get your general checks or your STI workups and so on, ask your doctor about the HTLV and HPV, and may stick something in here as well. Also ask about sickle cell, because sickle cell is also very common, either the trait or the disease. So those are part of the things that young people need to be aware of. Speak to your doctor about HPV and HTLV. And of course, the old advice to young people: avoid early sexual activity, judicial sexual behaviors, wearing a condom properly, limiting your sex partners.
Between 5 million to 10 million persons worldwide have HTLV-1 infection at this time. Particularly large populations of the Pacific Islands, Australia, and parts of Japan are affected by the infection.
One of the most frequent complaints from citizens relates to obstructions on the sidewalks. This evening's GB&I Saw captures just one of the many concerns. Stay with us.
A good eye captures all. GB&I Saw is brought to you by Clear Vision.
Our citizen journalist tonight is expressing concern about a potential hazard looming as a boat is seen docked on the Carenage in St. George, tied to a lamppost. The rope holding the boat to the post is also obstructing the sidewalk. Our ISO reporter is hoping the relevant authority can address this issue. Our ISO line is open for submissions via WhatsApp at 405-3052 or our other social media platforms.
Hi, my name is Dwayne Thompson, co-owner and founder of Grenada Tours, Taxi and Rental. We provide transportation tours in the field of tourism. Being in the field of tourism, the pandemic have taught us that we need all the help we can get, which the NIF has been very helpful in doing so. But as a small business owner, we are even more excited right now with the new initiative that the NIF have launched, providing a little bit more flexibility for small businesses like ourselves. So we definitely encourage encourage all of the small business to consider getting on board with the NIS and this new initiative that allows the level of flexibility that they have implemented.
Welcome back to the conversation this morning. And on Fridays we've got the education conversation. So this morning I am joined, of course, well, it is often said ladies first, so I'm going to do it that way, but generally speaking, I would have preferred to go to the extreme right first, because the person to my immediate right did not want to sit close to me. Good morning to you, Madam Lusan. How are you?
Good morning. Morning.
Okay, this is Miss Donna Lusan.
That's me, yes.
All right, a teacher at the St. Joseph's Convent, St. George's, and of course, co-host for the program, The Education Conversation, Mr. Matthias Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome to the program.
Morning to the listeners.
Yep, and as is customary, what we do is we do a recap from last week, and then we get into, as I told you earlier this morning, we will be looking at the significance and importance of health and family life education in the curriculum and being taught in our schools, and that is where Ms. Lusan is going to dominate that conversation this morning. But I must confess, Matthias, the previous 2 weeks, the gentleman Kwesi
Phillips,
he expounded remarkably well on the levels of education, primary and secondary.
Yeah, I thought in particular last week was very strong. As we were coming out of the studio, we were talking about that. So just in case the listeners miss it, so we tied up last week the importance of we were saying that the primary education is most important, and we said that when we say primary education, we also include in early childhood,
prenatal,
right? Yeah. So from 0 right up to to the end of the primary section. So we're not ruling out the preschool and the kindergarten. That foundation in education is most important, and we said some of the things that are most important would be establishing a good solid foundation in literacy and numeracy, but even more important is teaching them how to learn. Teaching them how to learn, not necessarily just giving them information as to what, but how to continue to learn, because education is life, and education should be a lifelong process. So making education attractive to them too, because you have to remember children learn through play. So you have to make the education attractive to them and teach them how to learn. And then we went into the secondary, and Kwasi gave a nice little synopsis. What he would suggest a secondary school package should look like, and just to summarize, pretty much what he's suggesting, and I had the same notes actually too, that you have a core, and part of your core should be a math and your English, at least a social subject. I would say try to put in a foreign language there to make yourself more marketable, whether it be French or Spanish,
Chinese.
Chinese. So have that core, and then once you have that core, the social subject, maybe a foreign language, math and English, then now based on your aptitude, based on your type of intelligence, now you add a couple more subjects to that. If you're a technical oriented person, and based on what field in the technical, you add your area of specialization to that. If you're hospitality, you add your specialization to that, And we also pointed out that most tertiary institutions, you need at least 5 subjects to get in after. So they're not asking for 15, they're not asking for 20, they're not asking for 10 and 12, and also as part of the primary into secondary, I think students need to understand when you get into secondary, both in primary, because some people in primary school think CPEA is what school is about.
No.
And then you get to secondary school and you think CSEC and CXC is what school is about. No, education is life. So even while you're in the secondary school experience, you broaden your perspective on it and see how much you could get. You're there for 5 years, see how much you could get. Yes, you're doing 7 subjects, you're doing 8 subjects, but see what you could get.
Don't take free periods. When you don't have a class, find yourself in another class.
You're saying you could audit a class. You're not doing for exam, but you can audit. You can sit down and and you can learn a lot from it. I used to audit class in PPC. I sit down there. I just and I take in stuff. And Chris, you give a good idea, but I guess you need the help of the authorities. You're saying you could probably even implement some 3-month courses.
Yeah.
On different things relative to life and Grenadian life, and whether it be how to to process things through the customs or what, So that's a good idea because it's not part of the CSEC, but you're learning little things, and you make use of your holidays too. I would say, growing up, I used to go and hustle in a little carpenter shop in Mount Parnassus. I used to go on, so you go by apprentice to a little mechanic, apprentice to a construction man, apprentice to an IT person, apprentice to somebody GBN, apprentice to, So yes, you're learning, you have a direction you want to go, but see how much you can learn from life. Do some dance, do some music, and do scouts and do things, see how make the education a broad thing, not just focusing on the exams.
Now, here's my challenge to you all educators. Do you think that from the classroom's perspective, the teachers could push that narrative to children?
They can.
To stimulate them more to be all you can be, the motto for the U.S. Army, be all you can be. Don't just sit in my class. When you get that prepared, go and explore in other classes. I don't think a teacher would say, no, you can't come in my class if you're orderly and so forth. So that is something that's something that the teachers can also take up.
The teachers, that has to be the approach in the classroom. That has to be the approach. When you look at the objectives of education, the objectives of education talk about getting or people to fulfill their full potential. So teachers should be pushing children to get maximum. So
that was basically that's a nutshell of what we captured the 2 previous weeks. It's amazing. This is our 5th week, and it seems like yesterday we started this initiative. I really, and based on popular demands, all right, it is imperative that we look to see how we can carry that conversation on. It's really impacting people's lives and way of thinking. I think it's something that should be a staple on the programming.
I'll be waiting to hear from you.
Jan, good morning. Jan, that's the best boss in the world. Good. Yes. So this morning we want to look at the health and family life education aspect of the school's curriculum or the education system. So, Madam, the floor is yours. Tell me, what exactly is health and family life education? The description of that, definition of it.
Well, thank you very much for being here, and I mean, it's just being here to speak about the health and family life education program. When a few weeks ago you heard so many different, a lot of people's views and misconceptions about what it is and what is happening in it. So first of all, I'm going to give you a kind of framework when it started, so we can build from there. So the program basically started in the height of the HIV and AIDS talk back in the 90s, when the world was crazy about AIDS and the education about the AIDS and what happens to it and all of that problem there. So the OECS governments, together with support from the Canadian government, and so decided to come up with a program to address particularly the HIV and AIDS issue in the community and to educate people about it. So hence the HFLE program started. So in the 90s, they built up these curriculums and they came up with different aspects of the curriculum to bring into effect some of the other issues facing Caribbean, OECS and CARICOM states. So we had things like HIV and AIDS coming in, things to do with sexually transmitted disease, all of that came under one topic. So hence we had a curriculum, look at interpersonal skills, people's behaviors, and so on. So all of these came into being then, and then we all started out with a curriculum that we have today that we can use as the HFLE program.
Okay, all right. I like the aspect of when it came in to tackle the HIV, but how instrumental has it been in the school life per se? Is it a subject that children or students gravitate to? They're anxious about it? My reason for asking that is to know the approach from your students now, futuristic.
Okay, what we have is that it is in the secondary school, and from my knowledge, we have the students do it at Form 1, the Form 2, and the Form 3 level. That is at St. Joseph's Convent. And other schools have come into doing it at that level as well, doing it in the lower school. And to be honest, to teach HFLE sometimes is a challenge because the children and the students do not see it as most important or important. That's just another subject on the curriculum.
Okay.
It's not graded, so I'm not getting a grade. I'm not getting a physical grade for it at the end of the school term, at the end of the school year. So that again is another challenge. Miss, I'm not getting no grade for that. So why do it? Because everything is placed on a grade and so on. So they're not seeing the benefits of it at that level. And I can tell you that because I have met students who I taught HFLE in secondary school, and later on when I meet them, sometimes they say, Miss, I had a program in work today and it was similar to that of the HFLE program that we did in school.
So let me ask, it's not tested by CXE?
No, it's not a tested subject on the curriculum like that.
Why?
That's a thing that you have to ask the CXE.
Matthias, why?
Oh, well, you have to remember that education is more than the exams, first of all.
Yeah.
So because something is not done for CSEC or CXE, should not be discredited as its importance, as it's important as a subject.
Well, I look at it from the other end, from where you take it. All right, knowing the importance of it, why test the other subject areas and not this?
Yeah, but a test really it's like I said, for me, is not the sign of the importance of something, but we have been drawn into that culture.
Yeah.
We've been drawn into that. So now everybody, teachers, parents, students, everybody has a perspective that something is only important if you have a test to do it.
To see the grade
and then you also need to understand that you can evaluate someone without giving them a written test.
Yes.
Evaluation is more than just having a test and you get a grade. You can evaluate someone just by observation.
Exactly, and we do that in HFLE.
Okay.
We observe the children's behavior, because if we teach something, and I know, for example, you want to see that you go out in the lines in school in the morning times, and you go out at break time and you monitor the behavior, you see what they're doing, and then you say, okay, this aspect of it, they're getting it and then they're not getting it, so you go back and you reinforce it sometimes. So there are different methods in HFLE program that we do for tests.
For evaluation. I must broaden the HFLE aspect before we go on to Gordon, because I think it would be useful. This is where I think a lot of people don't understand. HFLE is, Donna gave the context into which it was started in the 90s, and there was all this buzz about the HIV, and people figured a need for students to get more into their life skills, right? And understand issues of life, right? HFLE is broader than a discussion on sex or sexual intercourse, right? Let me give you some of the areas that are covered in a HFLE syllabus, HFLE program. There's a topic of self and interpersonal relationships, right? You talk about interpersonal relationships, communication, diversity, discrimination, self-esteem, refusal skills, conflict resolution, assertive practices, all of this. So there's a discussion on interpersonal relationship. That's a whole module in HFLE.
Okay.
There's a section on values clarification and you're exploring yourself and understanding yourself. I would dare to say that there's some persons who would probably live their entire life and don't understand themselves and don't understand who they are and that kind of thing. If you really have to achieve your potential as a person, you have to understand who you are as a person. So there's this entire module on self. There's a module on sexuality, right? And I think many often educators, parents, or the wider population, people tie up, confuse sex and sexuality. And when they think of sex or sexuality, they often just think of sex or sexual intercourse. But sex and sexuality is a part of all of us.
The first part of the word is what excites them, eh?
Yeah.
They don't look at the other part.
Yeah, but sexuality is in everything we do. You see someone dressed in a particular way with a short hair and a low chest and what you think certain things. You see the ads play on sexuality, the textbooks play on sexuality as roles of male and female. That's pretty much what sexuality is. Sexuality is in every aspect of life, you know. So the discussion, you can't hide from sexuality. As a matter of fact, everything to do with sexuality was given to us by the person who created us. So the better thing to do is to discuss the aspects of sexuality. So there's a module on that, and it talks about sexuality, gender, sexual preferences, pressured on sexual activity, readiness. There's a whole list of sexual development through the life cycle, facts and fictions about sexuality, values, clarification, health and hygiene, gender and sexuality, the impact of the media. There's a whole list of topics. So it's not really, if you want to talk about actual sexual preferences, that might just be a little 5% of the discussion. The issue of sexuality is a big issue that affects all of us. You can't get away from it. In the job, in the churches, on the streets, walking on. And then one of my favorite modules is a module on eating and fitness. There's a whole entire module on that. Energy balance, nutrition through the life cycle, obesity, health and food choices, alcohol and substance abuse, physical activity, health and wellness. Even the concept of wellness is distorted in our society. People have this view of health as something reactive. You know, you go to the doctor to get better, you should go to the doctor to stay well. You know, and so the issue on health and wellness,
hold on. You see that last thing that you just said? Reiterate it for me, please. You should go to the doctor.
You should be going to the doctor to stay well. You have this concept where you go to the doctor when you're sick.
You heard that?
You know. So let's tell you the health and family life. So my personal testimony, I was in administration at a school, and I had a concept just like most educators. Oh, it's just a timetable filler. They'll come to me and they ask me, so Mr. Bush should come and say, we cannot tighten the periods, well, you could drop off the health and family life. It's like, to me, knock it off. Then I got down to the teacher department, and I was asked to lecture on that course to the teachers, and then I started to do my research before teaching. I think I realized my perspective now is probably the most important subject on the curriculum, because health and family life teaches you about how to make proper life choices. If you understand life and you understand yourself and you understand how to make proper life choices, you'll make better decisions about your education. You'll make better decisions about your health. You'll make better decisions about your family and your relationships and your business if you understand yourself and life. Because that's what life is.
That's where it starts.
That's where it starts. So I really think we need good persons to teach health and family life, and it should be taught across the primary, across the secondary, so that students learn how to make proper choices. You make proper choices, you'll be able to understand education and its importance for life.
Okay. From your angle, are you satisfied with the level of significance that is placed on it throughout the school life, primary and secondary?
Well, it's on the curriculum, and as Mr. Matthias has rightfully said, there are some schools. I remember the last time we went to a workshop, the curriculum officer was really pressing that we get it on the curriculum, back on the curriculum, because as he said, after a few years and some things have to be bounced off HFLE because it's not important, right? So the emphasis that is placed on it in the school system is just some people have the same mentality, and that mentality has not gone away.
Time filler.
Yeah, it's a time filler, and the children, as I said before, the students themselves do not see it as important, right? But it's there, and some schools keep it on the curriculum have never moved it from the curriculum and kept it there, like St. Joseph's Convent, and I know that there are some schools who bounce it off, no problem. So I don't believe that it's getting the kind of influence or the kind of prominence in the school system as it is, given the fact that this health and family life education teaches you about life, teaches you how to interact with people, how to be a part of society. It should be the pillar of education.
Yeah, it should be.
It should be the pillar of education.
Okay, when we come back, we need to take a commercial break. When we come back, I want us to delve a little into some of the critical areas. Matthias listed a few already, but why, for the folks who are listening, why is it so important that students get involved with health and family life education? Because as we just said, it is the pillar, it should be the pillar for education, because education is life. All right, folks, we take a commercial break. We'll be back after these messages. I am speaking with Ms. Donna Lusan and Mr. Matthias Williams. We are talking health and family life education in the schools. We'll be back after these messages. Don't you go anywhere.
Grenada for decades. We are the #1 and largest electrical supplier.
Hi, welcome to Sun Electrical. How may I help?
We offer electrical wire and accessories, tools, and appliances for all residential, commercial, and industrial applications, which is what we are known for. And we expanded our products with new innovative ways to modernize your home. New homeowners will be captivated in our lighting showrooms.
Some more pendant lights here. These are very multifunctional because they can work for kitchens, living rooms, bedrooms.
We have a wide selection of lighting, ranging from indoor to outdoor and solar. We are also available for site visit services to assist you with selecting the perfect light for your forever home. We are located at Dusty Highway in Grenada and St. George. Sudden Electrical. Best value, expert advice, quality products. We hope to see you soon.
Hello, ECS.
Yo, OECS, this is your ocean. If I am to protect your future, we have to work together. It's the time to work together. If I am to help protect your future. Once I used to be so pure and clean, and those hills were so fresh and green. But now you see me as your dumping ground. The current situations has me choking on your pollution. Think hard about it. You will agree that really there is no you without me. Make the zero waste pledge, be responsible. Reduce your waste, recycle where possible. It's down to you, so make the commitment. Recycle for blue oceans and our betterment. Recycle OECS, green actions, blue oceans.
For blue oceans and our betterment.
And so it begins, a journey like none other. Every moment has the potential to be unforgettable. Bring home a piece of the tropical green forest with every emerald. Capture the sparkling light of flawless water in a diamond. Make the sunrise and sunsets last forever. With precious colored gemstones, the essence of happiness is in our most precious memories. So, when it all comes to an end, bring home something that will last forever. Colombian Emeralds International. Bring home more than a memory.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. The conversation on education this morning with Ms. Donna Lusan and Mr. Matthias Williams. Let's quickly take one of the comments from our WhatsApp platform. He says, "Good morning to you, Innocent, to your wide audience, and to your guests. I am happy to hear that Mr. Matthias knows and understands all about HFLE, meaning Health and Family Life Education, and the various modules. Now that he puts it in its proper context, I wonder if Grenadians still believe or people should not be aware of the LGBTQI, or if we still want to be left behind in our general knowledge." I need a response.
Well, education is about life. I think our students and ourselves need to be educated on the realities of life. We can't put our head in the sand, all right? When you go, even in Grenada, even on our little island, the persons that have particular sexual preferences, I think that everything relative to life and the issues of life should be discussed in a healthy context. Because if it's not discussed in a healthy context, they're going to find some unhealthy means of this, trying to find the information that
to communicate.
To research. Yeah. So let's put it that way. So if it's not shared within a healthy context with age appropriateness, because the information, how you discuss something in a primary school will be different to how you discuss something at secondary school, and still will be discuss something early secondary school will be different to how you discuss something at Form 5, So, but the realities of gender and sexual preferences are all around us. It's easy for a child to access information and that kind of thing. So health and family life not only discusses that aspect of sexuality, but it's part of the discussion. It should be part of the discussion. You should have a healthy discussion on all aspects of life, in an appropriate kind of manner. That's how I see it. I'm not sure, Donna.
Yeah, I want to hear a lady's perspective on this.
Well, it's what happened in the curriculum itself. Back in 2018, I believe, or just around 18 or 19, but it was 18. The OECS together with the CARICOM sent a framework down to us through the region for us to look now to develop our own curriculum standards and framework for our own education program here in Grenada. I remember going to that workshop, and part of that development was to look at the alternative lifestyles of the LGBTQ and I people. So we had to develop, but that has not come on stream because we never got the opportunity to develop that part of the curriculum to address in the curriculum itself sex and sexuality. So that is where, as Mr. Matthias is saying, that is where the curriculum now will come into being to talk to our students about these things that are out there in the world.
Yeah.
And to dip our heads in the sand and to pretend that it doesn't exist is crazy. It's not educational. For a society to do that, it's like we're sending ourselves 15, 20, 40 years back. Because the children of today can access these things on their smartphones. The children ask you about them in the classroom. When you're talking about the sex and sexuality content, miss, what's about them gay people? They ask you, and you have to address it in the context of which they're asking.
Yeah, but again, I want to reiterate, especially to the audience, that the module on sexuality and sexual preferences, that's just one little topic in the entire scope of health and family life. A guidance counselor just messaged me and says that HFLE teaches life skills, and he said at some point that you will be tested with life experiences. Why wouldn't you say at some point? From the time you're born, you have to deal with the experiences in life, and you have to remember all the aspects. Health and family life deals with understanding yourself. There's a whole big module on understanding yourself. There's a whole big module on health and wellness. There's a whole big module on all these aspects. And like we're saying again, sexuality is bigger than just the gender preference and these kind of things. So students, health and family life is about life, is about life skills, and the entire thing needs to be looked at. And a point I wanted to stick in as we were talking about there is that some person sometimes is taught from the perspective of giving information, right? A lot of our subjects are taught with that kind of context. You come and you give notes, and then students figure if no notes were shared, then teaching didn't take place.
Yes.
All right. Health and family life should be taught from the perspective as you're teaching life skills. A discussion is an active kind of intercourse where you're getting students to understand the skills and the values you're trying to bring out. It's not about giving information. Okay, take these notes, and you give a definition for homosexuality. You give a no.
It's not solely theoretical.
It's not theoretic. It's not this sort of theoretical base. It's supposed to be an active passing on of life skills. And you really need good resourceful persons to teach it. You can't just come somebody just giving some information and that kind of thing, and then people are free to address certain topics and that kind of thing. I remember one HFLE facility was telling me, well, a student asked a question, something relative to sexuality, and the teacher walked out. These things, the realities are all.
No, you're serious into the children.
The realities are all around us.
Yeah, the children do challenge you.
But the realities are all around us.
They do challenge you, and sometimes you have to take your belief and what you believe out of it and try and give them that perspective of a wider perspective. So let them make the judgment. That the decision-making skills comes down to them.
From your active teaching experience in the classroom now, what would you say are some of the greatest challenges you face in delivering that subject matter?
when you get to this sex and sexuality module, you could spend the entire school year talking about sex and sexuality, from gender bias, from gender, from sex and sexuality, from puberty, understanding yourself through puberty. You can talk about that for endless. So that is one of the challenges that we face.
Do you ever find yourself in a position that your place with these children know more than me?
Excuse me? And sometimes, yes, you say, well, where did children get these things from? Where did they get these things? And sometimes some of it is misconception. And then some of them again, they read a lot and they know what they're talking about. And then you see their brains start, you see they start to tick now because they have information. So they're comparing what you're telling them with what they already. Yeah. So sometimes they have to unlearn. Yes, and then you have to unlearn some things and teach differently. Wow, what are some of the greatest challenges you find? Well, not you personally, but from the HFLE's curriculum in the Grenada education system. What do you think are some of the main challenges? Because we've already established the fact that it should be a pillar subject. It's not. What do you think are some of the main hindrances from the authorities that get it that this should be a subject area of significance and importance? They need to put more resource persons, first of all, into the HFLE department in terms of the department in the ministry. I know that Mrs. Bartholomew is the only one there. Well, she probably and another person is there. So for them to move across the nation to go to the different schools, both primary and secondary, to ensure that what is happening, the program is being taught how it should be taught, and that kind of thing. So that is one of the challenges from the education point of view. And then giving the fact that we must have some principals and other head teachers, head of departments, understanding that this subject is important and to give it the prominence that it deserves in the education system, because it's for life and not just a filler in the timetable.
If I were to interject, I would also add that a cultural shift has to happen as to what education is, really, for this to get any kind of importance. Because the shift has to happen where people understand education is for life. Education is getting the skills for life. If you understand that education should be getting skills for life, and education is not about getting a grade or passing an exam, then you would understand the importance of health and family life, because it teaches you life skills. It helps you to make proper choices as an individual, how to understand yourself and how to make proper choices, and that is what life is. So a shift has to happen within the education system so people understand what education is. It's bigger than exams, grade, and certification. From your administrative level now, because you're now one of the Miss Lusan, he's one of the big boys in terms of making policies, right? Yeah. Right. But so it's good to be in that company. Do you think it's the right time to sort of effectuate some change to our educational platform? Now is always the right time. Yeah. All we have is now. Yeah, that's all we have. Yeah, so now is always the right time. Not yet. Yesterday gone. Yeah. We're not guaranteed about tomorrow, so now is always the best time. Yeah. To revisit our education. Whatever you can do today, do it today. Okay. All right. Tell you what, it's 9 minutes left on the program. So we take our final commercial break on the program. Then we come back and we entertain your calls. Stick and stay with us. Don't you go anywhere.
Introducing the NIS Dream Loan, where possibilities are boundless and your aspirations are our priority. No matter where life takes you, NIS Dream Loans are here to make your dreams a reality. From purchasing your first plot of land or dream property to renovating spaces, building your home, and seamlessly switching mortgages, we cater to every step of your journey. And here's what sets us apart. We offer easy financing options with competitive interest rates, quick approval processes, and flexible repayment terms. So why wait? Apply now and let our dedicated NIS team guide you through this exciting journey. Visit nisgrenada.org/dream loan or call 440-3309 to book an appointment. Terms and conditions apply. Your dream awaits.
There is a fire that rages in all of us, a deep desire to be the best that we can be. And sometimes that fire finds expression in words.
Who do you think you are? Angela Davis? Winnie Mandela?
Daddy, whether you like it or not, a new generation has arrived. We are here and we have come with a vision.
You sure is not television all you come with?
The Fire to Dance, a new exciting full-length drama, written and directed by Chris DeRiggs and presented by Heritage Theatre. Opening Saturday 16th September at Grenada Trade Center and running for 2 weekends, 7 p.m. nightly with a star-studded cast.
Come with me, Sophie. We have worlds to conquer.
Come out and feel the fire in The Fire to Dance, starting September 16th. Don't miss it. This ad is sponsored by the National Lotteries Authority, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Grenada, get ready. A new season of the Grenada debates is coming. Informative, impromptu, bright young minds sparking powerful ideas. The Grenada debates, September 2023. Tune in.
My name is Alimaka Motley. I've been here doing nails since 2017. Me being self-employed, I have realized that paying the NIS benefits me now and even when I retire. By the time I'm 65, I will be receiving contributions back from NIS. So I benefit because I'm self-employed. Anything can happen. If anything happens to you while you're at work, you've got a bad cold, you have the COVID, you have dengue, we have all these diseases that's plaguing us at the moment. NIS will be giving you back some form of money when you're ill. So I would encourage all small business persons to sign up with NIS now.
All right, welcome back. The final 5 minutes in the education conversation this morning. And right away, we've got a caller on the line. Let's take that call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Joseph.
Good morning.
Here. I learned as a young mechanic that if you're wearing a tie, you never bend over a functioning engine. I'll tell you why I go there. I heard Mr. Matthias, and good morning to the guests, I must indeed say, heard Mr. Matthias speak of the module and all, and these are very, very important things for life skills of young people and for our children at school. But there is one that I have concern about, and even mentioned about it, sexual preference. When we look from the Bible back, why sexuality is innate in us and presented to us, given to us through the hands of God, etc. It is also, the abuse of it, should I say, was also condemned. We know the story about Sodom and Gomorrah and other words. My question is this. In the teaching of sexual preference, how far is the immorality and the perversion condemned as evil, and how far is it glorified and accepted and left to the whims and fancies or choices of the children? I hope my question is understood. Is it condemned as evil, or is it accepted and left to choices? Because that is where I see the trap is in the continued narrative from foreign countries to lead us back into this evil perversion. I hope you understand my question. Have a nice day, will you?
Thank you very much, Citizen Ruler. Like, I had the mic on? Because it seems as though Mr. Rolo had preview to the conversation we were having.
Seniors.
Yeah.
Lusan, I think Miss Lusan does, yes.
Well, okay. You have to tell biblically, and I know that biblically, and coming from, I'm teaching in a Christian school, you tell the children that this is biblically wrong. This is not what God created us to be. He created man and woman, and you tell them that from the outset. Okay? But this is what the world is giving us. This is what the world is giving us. This is what this is what has been created. And you don't leave it, you leave it to them to make that judgment. Because at the end of the day, it becomes, you cannot be the judge and force somebody to do anything that they don't want to do. So you give them all the facts. It is wrong based on Christian teaching, and in case most religions, it's wrong. And this is not what God created us to be for the continuing of the human race and all of that. You give them all of that biblical standpoint, and then you tell them what is at present, what is happening in the world today, and you give them that, and you allow them free will.
Okay.
Make a judgment.
We have to wrap up, Matthias. Let's wrap up the entire education conversation that we've had for the 5 weeks and look forward to a futuristic one.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it in the future too, because education is life.
Yes.
Pretty much that's what we've been selling. Education is life. Education is bigger than academics and testing and grade, and we need to embrace education in that context, because I personally think that we have been having this narrow perspective of education locally, and we need to understand that education embraces life. So seek to have a broad perspective, on education, and understand the importance of having the proper life skills, because life is about choices. Understand the importance of having the proper life skills if you want to be successful. You can make good choices, you would have a successful life.
Well, I must say thank you for Mr. Matthias for inviting me. He got me yesterday morning. Told me that he needed me to come and speak on the HFLE program, and I said this is an opportunity to share what I know about the program and everything like
especially when you're coming to sit next to Innocent, right?
Yes, especially when I was coming to see Innocent with his coffee. That wasn't so it was that it was in that context I decided to come out here, but I never knew this program was going on for this length of time and so on. But if in the future you need me to come back and speak about any matter and anything like that, I will be willing to come, so especially when it has to do with curriculum in itself, because the education curriculum that we have at present, I would like to see a transformation of that so much in this country before I retire from teaching. But so I have some ideas about that as well. So if you have a conversation on that later on, you can always
definitely. No efforts will be spared in attempting to keep this program alive. We'll try to get it sponsored and so forth, because in the media money talks.
All over.
All right, so thank you very much, Matthias, for finally we had the conversation a while now. We saw the importance of such a program, and you pushed and eventually it happened, and it's now my turn to push and see how we can get it to continue to make it a part of our morning programming, because you can see the interest. It is important, it's timely, it's needed, but we have to end it here. So thank you again, Ms. Lusan.
Thank you so much
for gracing me with your presence this morning. Matthias is part of GBN now, so we'll always be in touch. And folks, you the audience, thank you very much. I know you might be complaining that we did not get enough interactive time, but there are times like that, so we look forward to a continuation of the program, and thank you for being a part of the program. That's the education conversation this morning. Thank you. Bye-bye.